Hey, how's it going everyone? My name is Coxie and this is going to be part 16 in our first person shooter tutorial series in Unity, and today we're going to be adding some functionality to our game that will allow us to headshot our enemy and deal more damage than when we shoot him in the body or anywhere else. So this is pretty common in a lot of first person shooters and other games as well, to give the player some kind of bonus for actually being accurate, and it's also very handy to use this in games where you're going to have very little ammo, so that it adds to the tension and makes the player have to try to shoot the enemies in the head and be more skillful. So we'll make it so that, hang on a second, just go to the pistol script, and you see in our pistol script I've got mine set to 60. That's the current damage that I will do if I shoot an enemy, and the enemy has 100 health, so 2 shots for me. I'm going to change this to, I'm going to change it to 35 so that we need 3 shots to kill the enemy, and I'm going to make the headshot just a 1 shot to the head and it's instant death for the zombie. Okay, so before we get started on the actual headshot, I just want to show you guys really quickly 2 things that I've done. So if you go into your enemy scripts and open up enemy health, you'll see in the enemy dead function on our enemy health script, the very last one, I've just added this one line of code that says enemy health equals 0f, and I've just put that under the for each statement and and above the destroy game object statement. Okay, so just chuck that in there, and when the enemy dies, we'll automatically set his health to 0 because it was going below 0. And that's all I did to that script. If you then go to enemy AI, I've done a bit more to this one, but all I've done, I haven't really changed the code very much. I've just cleaned it up a lot and fixed a little bug where the zombie would be dead on the ground, or supposedly dead, but if the player was within, if the player was less than chase distance and the enemy could attack him, the enemy would still attack the player. Okay, so the if and if else statement that control whether we attack or chase the player, I've just encapsulated them in this bigger if statement here, and now these 2 conditions will need to be met for us to be able to do these 2 things here. So the conditions are, if the enemy is alive and the player is alive, this is the only time the enemy will either attack the player or chase the player. So if the enemy is dead, or if the player is dead, we will do this instead. Then we'll disable the enemy. Okay, so that's all I've done there. Just make sure yours is exactly the same as that. Just make sure that you have the right things in between the right curly brackets, and you'll be good to go. So once you've done that, just save the script, go back into the game, and we'll start on this headshot. So on our zombie enemy, you can see I've just resized the actual capsule collider on the zombie enemy, and this is the one that was detecting our raycast hits, and this is the one that will do the damage that you currently have set on damage enemy on your pistol script. So that's well and good. I've just resized that. You can copy the same values that I've used on the capsule collider if you would like, or if you have the same enemy model as me. So it's just above his shoulders and nearly all the way to his bottom of his feet. You could probably go a little bit lower than that, but yeah, I'm not too worried about it just for now. So once you've resized your capsule collider, then click on the zombie enemy and then right click and go to 3D object and sphere, because that's the closest shape to the zombie's head. Press F2 and rename the sphere to head. And what I'm going to do is just grab this head with the left mouse button and drag it up and drop it just under the enemy, the zombie enemy. Okay, parent game object there, just so it's easy to find. So once that's done, I'm just going to move this sphere and position it on the zombie's head. So I'm going to press R and bring up the resizing tool, and if you click on this square here and just pull back on your mouse button, it resizes the whole lot evenly for you, and I was just scaling it down. And then you can press W and just use the arrows to position it where you would like. Probably just going to make mine a little bit bigger. I want to have some leeway, so just going to resize it up to about there. A little bit more, about there. And now I'm going to press W again and just pull that back so that it covers his head a bit more evenly. And now what you can do is, on the mesh renderer of this head game object, just click that off so that we're just left with the collider. And I'm just going to make a new tag for this game object. So if we go to the tags, go to add tag, and we have our enemy tag that we made. And now I'm going to make one called head. And then click back on the head game object and make sure you actually tag that as head as well. Okay, so we're all set up and ready to go. We just need to do a couple more things. We can actually detect, we'll be able to write the script to detect damage on the head now. But also I wanted to add an effect. So I'm thinking what we're going to do is, if you see here, this is the actual mesh for the zombie's head. And if you set that in active up here, it's actually got a little bone sticking up and a bit of, skin overlapping with blood, which kind of looks like the enemy's being blown off or cut off or something. So we're going to use that to our advantage, and also we're going to add some blood. So I actually went to the asset store, and there's this blood gush particle system. I got this. So to get this, all you need to do is go to the asset store and just type in blood gush, and this will come up as the first one, I'm pretty sure, and just import this into your game. Okay, so go back to Unity once we've done that, and I'm just going to grab the prefab and just place it on my enemy's head roughly. And we've just got to do a couple of things to this. So first of all, I'm going to click on it and go to game object and break the prefab instance. Then I'm going to open it up, and you can see this blood spray effects is actually just an empty game object with a transform, and it's actually the parent for these three particle systems, particle system A, B, and C. The first thing I'm going to do is select all of these particle systems, and I'm just going to come down to where it says simulation space world, and I'm going to change that to local. And then I'm just going to come over so I'm facing my zombie, because the blood's spraying out sideways like that. I'm just going to press E to rotate, and I'm just going to rotate it so it's facing out forward to start with. And then I'm just going to rotate it so it's facing upwards like that. Probably even, yeah, just a tiny bit slanted to the right. And if I press W, I can bring that to the back of the zombie. I'll just get rid of his head for a second. So get rid of his head, and then click back on the blood. I think I may have actually just moved the particle systems without moving the main parent, which is going to be a problem. But we'll just get it all going and see. Yeah, I think these should all be zeroed out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all three of these, and I'm just going to go to this cog here and reset position only, okay? Okay, that's better. So now it's moved them back to the actual transform of the main parent, and we can move them around together. That would have been an issue because the actual particle systems wouldn't have been in the right place. These three, when I played the game, I can guarantee you. So make sure that they've got the same transform as the parent. Theirs will be 0, and the parents will always be whatever it is. But they, even though it says 0, they actually have the same transform as their parent. So I can move the whole thing over like this. And I'll just put it right on where the bone kind of is. Okay, so enough stuffing around. So what I'm going to do with this particle effect now is I'm just going to left click it, drag it onto the BIP01, okay? So it's actually a child of this BIP01 object in the zombie. And now I'm just going to disable this particle system, okay? Up here. I'm going to go back to the head and I'm going to set that active again. And now we should be ready to write some scripts. So the scripts folder, enemy scripts, and the first one we're going to do is headshot. These are going to be two very simple scripts, and then we're going to do add some more code to our pistol script. But these two scripts here are very simple, but they are going to also be very handy. So open up the headshot script. I'm just going to tidy mine up how I want it. And on this headshot script, we're going to do a built-in Unity function, and it's called void on disable. And what this function will actually do is, if I'll just save that, sorry, and I'll go back into the game, and what this function will actually do is, if we put this on a game object, just say, well, we are going to put it on the head, of course, that we made, the actual head game object we made, not the mesh head. So the actual head, we put it on this game object, and what will happen is, if this head object gets disabled like this, then this, whatever's between these brackets here, will get called, okay? So it's pretty handy to know this one, and there's also one called on destroy as well, which will actually destroy the game object instead of just disabling it. So make sure that you have this enabled to start with, okay? And in here we're going to say, what are we going to do? We're going to go public game object, and we'll just call this head, and then another public game object, and this will be the actual blood. I'll just put a space between there, and when that head object gets disabled, we're going to call this and say head dot set active equals false, and we're going to say blood dot set active to be true. Control S to save that, and I'll show you what this head object actually is. Okay, so go back to the game once you've saved, and you'll see now that we have the two public variable slots come up. They're both game objects. So if you grab the actual mesh head and put that in the head, and then we actually grab the blood spray, which, don't forget, this blood spray is starting off disabled, okay? We're just going to enable it when we want to. So your mesh head and your blood spray effects on this headshot script, and we're also going to make another script, and this is just a random script that's very handy and it's very easy. So this one is going to be called destroy time. And if we open up this script, okay, sometimes if you double click on a script like this and it doesn't open, and you already have Visual Studio open, just click on Visual Studio, and this will usually be the cause, because it needs to convert it to the right line endings. So once you've done that, it opens up the script for you, no problems, okay? So just clean this up, and this is another extremely easy script, and we're just going to say public int, and we'll call it timer, or we'll call it destroy timer, and then we will say void on destroy. No, we won't do that at all. We're not going to do that, sorry. We're going to do void awake, and in here we're going to say destroy game object, comma, destroy timer, okay? And all this is going to do is, if we put this script on a game object, what will happen is when the game object gets woken up, so for instance, if a game object was enabled, or if you instantiated a game object, or a couple of examples of when it would wake up, once that happens, it's going to destroy this game object that the script is attached to after however many seconds we set this. So we could set this to, for example, just 5, and save that. So it'll just, when this game object that it's attached to wakes up, it's going to destroy it after 5 seconds currently, okay? So make sure you Shift Control S to save all your scripts to make sure every single one's saved. And we're just going to use this one for the actual blood spray effect as an example, because usually when you instantiate particles into the scene, or sorry, into the game, you want to be able to destroy them at some stage. And this is the case with many objects. So we've got it on our blood spray FX, and now all we need to do is we need to go into our pistol script. You can also minimize all your functions as well to clean up your scripts, so that you can just you know, navigate to the bottom and top easier. There are shortcut keys to that as well, but if you just do it like this, it keeps it nice and tidy, and you can just work on the things that you want to work on at that current time. So we will go into our shoot ray function, and we will just copy this here, and paste it here, and this is going to be an else if. So if we hit something that's tagged as the enemy, that's fine, but else if we don't, we're going to hit something that's tagged as head. And if we don't hit something that's tagged as enemy or head, then we're going to just, it's going to tell us what we are hitting with the raycast. So this is going to be very simple and similar to this one up here. There is a couple of differences, because currently we are creating this variable here, the enemy health script, which is actually when we hit whatever the ray hits, we get the transform, and then we get the component enemy health script. So we're actually trying to get the enemy health script off the game object that we actually hit, okay? So the problem with this is, if you go to the head, this is what the raycast is only going to be hitting in this code here, because this code here won't get called unless we hit the head, okay? And on the head, there's actually no enemy health script, so it's not going to work. Whereas before, when we're hitting the capsule collider, it was actually grabbing the enemy health script because it's attached to this zombie enemy game object. So it's really easy to fix this issue. All we need to do is change get component to get component in parent. And now this head object will look for it in its parent, which is the zombie enemy. So it's going to be able to find it there. We know the enemy health script is attached to that. And we've also got enemy health script dot deduct health, and then we pass in the damage enemy. So once we've accessed the enemy health script, we use the function deduct health to take away the damage enemy that we've set up here. And this is it here. So it's only set to 10 here, but because we made this private variable serialized, we've actually changed it well, I've actually changed it in the script to 35 in the inspector. So this 35 overwrites the 10 that's written here. And all we need to do is create another one now, a different one for our headshot, because we want to do different damage with the headshot. So Control V, and this one we will call headshot damage. And I'm going to equal mine to 100 and just Control S. And also while we're here, we've already got the audio source and everything hooked up here, so we can do an audio clip because we want it to make a sound when he gets shot in the head that's a bit different than anywhere else. So public audio clip, of course, sorry, audio clip, and we'll call this headshot AC for audio clip, and then go back down to our shoot ray function. And now instead of passing in damage enemy, we'll pass in the headshot damage. And this instantiates our blood effect when we actually shoot the enemy in the body. But we're not going to do it this way because we put the particle system on the actual enemy itself. And I did that for a reason, because if you just instantiated this gushing blood at his neck position or at this head position, the gushing blood would instantiate into the scene. It would play the gushing blood. The problem is when the enemy falls over, the gushing blood will still be hovering in the air and it won't be attached to the actual zombie enemy, so it will look really ridiculous. You can get around that by actually instantiating it and then making it a child of something on the zombie enemy or the zombie enemy, but yeah, we're not going to do it that way. We're just going to do it this way. So I'm not actually going to use this. You can use it if you want to have also a blood spray effect. Actually, we'll leave it on there because we'll have a blood spray effect that we've already got, and then we'll have the gushing blood come out after that. So okay, so underneath this we'll just say hit dot transform dot game object dot set active to false. And what we're doing here is where the ray hits, we're going to get the transform, which is the zombie enemy's transform, and we're going to get the game object, which is the zombie enemy game object, and we're just going to set that to false. So the actual game object is the head, because this is what we're hitting. So it's going to get hold of the transform of this game object, and it's going to get the game object, and it's going to set it inactive like that. Okay, and of course when this gets set inactive, our headshot script is going to get called. The on disable in our headshot is going to be called, and it's going to disable this head mesh object, and it's also going to set this blood active. Okay, alright, so we should be good to go. If we save that script, we can go and test it out. I'll save the game as well, and let's just go have a look. Oh, hang on, we didn't put the audio clip on, so sorry about that. Go back to pistol, and the headshot audio clip is the headshot audio clip here. I've actually got an audio clip, so you can use this audio clip. I'll provide a link for it, or you can, get your own. But yeah, it's completely up to you. This one is not that great, but it's kind of like in Rust, when you shoot someone in the head, you get that sound that kind of makes you know that you've shot someone in the head, and it's pretty satisfying. Well, this is just kind of like a bone-breaking sound. I'll just play it. Yeah, it's just that. So it's nothing special, but you're welcome to use it if you want. So now we'll go ahead and shoot this zombie in the head. I didn't hear that sound play because we didn't actually tell it that we wanted to play that clip. So back in here, I'll just put it here and just say gun audio source dot play one shot, and it is the headshot audio clip, like that, and then save that. And now the sound will definitely play. And I did notice that the actual blood was too high up when he was laying on the ground, so what we can do is, if we play the game and I'll shoot him in the head, that worked. I'll quickly pause the game and then come over here. This is in the scene view, by the way. I paused the game, we're in the scene view. And now we can just click on the blood spray and we can put it exactly where it's supposed to go. Well, if you put it exactly where you're supposed to go and then I unpause this, it would not save this position. It's going to go back to where it was before we actually started playing the game. So all you have to do is what we've done numerous times before, is come up to the transform of the blood spray effects and just copy the component, okay? And now when we get back out of the game, we can just go to the blood effects and we can paste component values, okay? And you're seeing the positions change, so now it should be exactly where we want it. So if I play the game, oh, actually before I play the game again, let's actually click on this whole entire zombie enemy and click apply. And now our enemies that spawn, this zombie enemy here, will have the same values. Well, it will be updated, sorry. And I just noticed too, what we need to do is, this has still only got the capsule collider in the collider array. And this is why I made it an array, because now we can just grab the enemy head here, the head, drag that onto the enemy colliders, and it automatically knows that it's got a sphere collider on it, and it grabs that sphere collider. So now when the zombie enemy dies, the sphere collider will be disabled and the capsule collider. So I can go ahead now and apply this again, and you'll notice before I apply it, it's dark black, okay? If you apply it, see how it changes, and that lets you know that the changes have been applied. And now if I click on the prefab zombie down here, which just flashed with the update, you'll see that the sphere collider has also been added for him as well, and all the other changes. So one last play to test it out. Shot him, and the blood will disappear after 5 seconds, and then after another 5 seconds the zombie body will disappear. And then even our spawned enemies, if I shoot him in the chest, it's got to be 3 times. Okay, shoot him in the head, 1 shot. Okay, so there you go. So that's pretty cool, and you can do a lot of things with those scripts that we just wrote, those very simple scripts. And yeah, I hope you guys can do something creative and cool with them. And yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and hopefully learnt something, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys.